What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Overboy and I'm going to be doing my review for the 1995 movie Pocahontas. So in this movie, Pocahontas, the daughter of the chief, falls in love with an English soldier named John Smith as colonists invade 17th century Virginia. So this movie is one that I've always really enjoyed ever since I was a little kid. It was one of my favorite movies growing up and everything. I've always really enjoyed it, and I gotta say the animation is just absolutely beautiful in this movie. Some of the most gorgeous animation from Disney at during that time period. Like I've said with every movie that came out during the Renaissance era, the animation is always top quality during that era, and this one's no exception. It looks great, and the songs are great in here, especially Colors of the Wind. I think that's my favorite movie that's actually, or song that's actually a movie. My other favorite song is If I Never Knew You, which plays over the end credits, unless you watch the 2005 special edition that has the song added back into the movie with Pocahontas and John Smith singing it. And personally, I prefer that version of the movie and everything, but this time I just watched the regular theatrical version when I watched it and everything. Sometimes I'll watch the special edition, but most of the time I'll just watch the one I'm used to, because that's just how I am. When I watch stuff that's either special edition or not special edition, if I watch the one that I tend to have seen the most times whenever I watch it, because that's the one I'm used to, if that makes sense. The characters are all good in here too. Pocahontas is a really lovable lead character. She's great, and John Smith is pretty likable too. And you got her animal sidekicks, Miko and Flit, which are adorable and funny little animal sidekicks. And John Smith has his own little animal sidekick, Percy, who was originally, I think, belonged to the villain of the movie, Ratcliffe, but he ends up becoming Pocahontas' dog by the end of the movie. But he's a likable little guy and everything. He's a little pug and everything. He's funny and everything. So the animal sidekicks in this are really good, and the supporting cast of characters are great too. You got Powhatan, the chief of the tribe. He's really great in here. I absolutely love him and everything. He's really one of the best Disney father characters. I just really like him for some reason. I don't know what it is about him, but I just think he's a really likable character. And Ratcliffe, the villain, is one of the more underrated Disney villains. He's just a flat out jerk that wants to steal all the gold, take all of the profit from everybody else, take all the credit from everybody else, and become famous with the King of London and stuff. And he he's a pretty good villain and everything. And David Ogden Stiers did a really great job doing his voice. He also voiced his little sidekick. I can't remember what his name is, but he sounds totally different with both characters and does a really great job with his voice acting in here. I always really enjoyed David Ogden Stiers whenever he would show up in Disney movies. And he was great in here. The rest of the voice cast are all great. Everybody fits their roles really well, but especially Pocahontas, who's voiced by Irene Bedard. She did a really great job voicing Pocahontas. And Mel Gibson is pretty good as John Smith. I think they could have had someone that did his voice just as good as him, if not better, but he was still good as John Smith and everything. Like I said, I don't think Mel Gibson's a very good person, but he is a good actor. I will say though that I do wish this movie could have been more accurate. It's definitely not an accurate depiction of Pocahontas and everything. This is like pretty much a fictionalized version of it, everything, because in real life John Smith and Pocahontas barely knew each other, and he was in his 30s and she was in her teens, so making them a romantic couple, I understand the criticism of that and everything, and it not being historical accurate. But at the same time, this is a Disney movie, so you can't really expect them to go fully historically accurate. Disney isn't the type that's going to have the nerve and the balls and stuff to actually really go there and stuff. They can be pretty edgy and stuff with things, but they won't ever go that dark and everything. I wish that it could have been like a PG-13, more realistic portrayal of what happened. It would have been a totally different type of movie for the animation genre and everything. It could have really done something different for American animation if they would have done it differently. And what's crazy to think on this movie is all the filmmakers that Disney really cared about were working on Pocahontas, and they let the people work on Lion King by themselves, didn't interfere with it at all, because they thought the Lion King wasn't going to be as successful as Pocahontas and stuff. And it turned out that Lion King ended up being the biggest movie of the Renaissance and possibly the biggest animated movie of all time. And then Pocahontas comes out a couple years later, and Disney was really hoping for a huge hit with this movie, hoping for a new Best Picture winner, or hoping it'd be the first animated movie to win Best Picture and stuff. And it came out and it didn't do any of that, which means I feel like this movie kind of is underappreciated. I wouldn't say it's underrated, but it's underappreciated. It's not near as memorable as some of the other movies in the Renaissance era. Like, personally, I think that the stuff that came out before this from the Renaissance era is the best stuff of that era, with the exception of Tarzan. I think Tarzan ranks up there with them. But this one is still a pretty underrated movie, and it's still a solid and entertaining movie. I can watch it and everything and not get bored with it. It's only an hour and 20 minutes, so it goes by really fast and everything. So all in all, I think Pocahontas is a decent enough movie. It's not one of my very most favorite Disney movies, but it's one I have a lot of fun with, mostly because of the nostalgia that I have for it from growing up with it and everything. But I do agree that they could have done better on making it more realistic and everything. Since it was based on a real life person, they should have done stuff to make it more realistic. But for what it is, it turned out to be a pretty decent enough movie. It's not, like I said, not one of their very best, but not one of their worst either. It's just kind of somewhere in the middle for me. So I'd give Pocahontas a B-. It's a really entertaining movie, but it's not one of my most favorites either. So but like I said, it's enjoyable, and I'm never really bored with it. Like I said, anytime I watch it, I'm usually in the mood for it when I watch it and everything, so it don't really faze me when I do watch it. And like I said, I've seen this one so many times, because this is also one of the ones that was one of my brother's favorites growing up. It was one of the few movies that we both actually agreed on that whenever he wanted to watch it, I didn't really mind letting him watch it, because we had to share a TV and stuff as kids and everything. It was one of the ones I didn't mind watching whenever he watched it too. A lot of times we would take turns on watching movies and everything, but sometimes I'd watch this one with him. But so anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of Pocahontas, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.